Hello my friends and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. We're going to start off with last week's snapshot because the mystery of the giant tree has been solved. This is a big tree with 8 different branches and it's a reference to Octatree, which is a new method used for chunk culling. It's been implemented into the game and led to some of those performance increases we saw last snapshot. And last week I missed a handful of experimental changes with minecarts. So let's quickly go over these changes. The distance at which a minecart can pick up a mob has been reverted back to normal. Minecarts that get placed on a sloped rail will appear sloped as they should do. And the behavior of a minecart that lands in bubble water will be normal rather than it freaking out like it previously did. So I guess now we can start with this week's snapshot, which is 24W35A for Minecraft 1.21.2. But of course we start with the experimental features, which are still in development. They may or may not make it into this update. And the change this week to the bundle is the removal of using hotkeys to select one of these items, because now we can see more than 10. It makes it confusing to use the hotkeys. If it's not clear, it's because you wouldn't know which key would naturally correspond to which item in the grid. This change coincides with making one of Minecraft's other features compatible with the bundle, the ability to press the slot that the item is in and move it to a different one. So if I press 1 on my keyboard, it moves it over here. If I then select over here and press 7, it gets moved across. And if you are paying attention, you may have noticed that the name of an item now has color that corresponds to its rarity. This is a bug fix, as previously all of them were just displayed in white. The website also suggests that there are changes to redstone in this snapshot, but they're not listed under experimental features. I found the changes in the bug fixes, and one of them is a really old one related to redstone lamps. They previously didn't appear on a map, but now they will. And supposedly wheat had the incorrect color on a map, so here's now what that will look like. The one other bug I could find was related to redstone wire not giving updates to observers, which now you can see they do. And it just occurred to me you could find this on the bug tracker. It was indeed a fix for the experimental redstone pack. I just want to take a quick moment to say thanks for watching the video, and if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, because you're watching this video and it's what I do on a regular basis. I cover these Minecraft updates, so if you want to stay informed, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for doing so. Let's crack on with the video. So with those out of the way, we are now looking at the changes for 1.21.2. And we start with raids, because raiders now need to find a space to spawn that is no more than 96 blocks vertically or below a village center, otherwise the raid won't start. And it is now much less likely for raiders to find a valid place to spawn during a raid. Gotta love those double negatives, right? Now that might sound like a nerf, but I actually think it's related to this bug where raiders aren't able to spawn on small islands that are near the center of a village. And when it comes to the data pack, there are some changes to how your trial spawner configurations are structured, so make sure to give a read of this if you're doing any custom stuff with them. And the same thing applies to sheep. They now all use a single loot table that has a subtable for their color. As it says here, the mutton drop is controlled by the main table, while the subtables are responsible for the wall drop. There are a few other little changes you might want to read up on too. As always, you can find a link to the article in the description box down below. Now for some of the bug fixes in this snapshot. The trader llama is known for its spit attack, which it would not aim at zombies, zombie villagers, husks, and the family of villagers. As you can now see, they are aggressive towards these mobs. That includes the drowned, and you may have encountered this long-standing bug in the game where a drowned is standing in one tall water and it tries to follow a player in survival, but because it's in this water, it doesn't actually do anything. And of course it is fixed in this snapshot, isn't it? Maybe it has something to do with the time of day. Yeah, there you go. They're staying in the water because they don't want to burn. As soon as it's daytime again, it's back to the water. I see. But yeah, there was actually a bug where they wouldn't get out of the one high water. They wouldn't use their pathfinding. I've seen it myself, and now it's fixed. And if, like me, you've ever built a bee farm in the nether and the ends, there's this issue where they stop leaving their beehives until you restart the server, and finally, that one has been fixed. As for the rest of this long list of bug fixes, most of them are just related to the last couple of snapshots. For example, a drowned holding its trident upside down. There are a couple that relate to some of the new changes though, and they're worth talking about. So first of all, picking up salmon in buckets will now remember their size. So I've got a small one, a medium, and a large, and this will be remembered in a bucket of salmon. However, if you use one from creative mode and you place it down, it always creates the smallest one, and there's this like flicker of a different size just before. That's probably a bug that's going to get patched next time. They also had their hitboxes fixed as well, as they all had the same size hitbox, whereas now it matches the size of the salmon. I got a few more things to show you. These are from previous snapshots, things that I've missed. So new sounds were added for the monster spawner block, so placing and breaking. These now have their own unique sounds, as well as when you hit the spawner block with your fist, and when you walk over the top of it. There is also this really cool sound for when the respawn anchor depletes. That's when it runs out of its glowstone charges. So let's give it a listen. Yeah, that's pretty cool if you ask me. For this next one, we don't need no command block. When you feed a frog a slime ball, it will now make a unique sound. I realize with lots of them about, they make a lot of noise, so here's one on its own. I also figured out how the TNT field explosive power works. It's a MBT tag. As you can see here, we're going to summon one, and it's got the default explosive amount, which is 4, and that looks pretty regular to me. So now we're going to make it 4 times bigger with a power of 16. We better stand back and enjoy the explosion. Wow, that's massive. And oh boy, you know what's going to happen next. Type a comment down below. Guess what number I typed in. Oh, there we go. Whatever you thought that number was, I've multiplied it by 10. So this, whoo, creating some big shockwaves. It's very interesting how with the large numbers you get these strange patterns emerging out of the explosion. That is interesting. Now this should also work for a TNT minecart too. So let's get it on these tracks, send it over and activate a rail. And here comes the explosion. Yep, that's a normal size one. When I do this with 10 times the explosive power, it appears to be the same amount. Okay, now it's got 1000. Yeah, it doesn't actually seem to work on this. But it is supposed to work on both, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Oh, and the number I used for the big explosion, that was 100. Pretty predictable. There were also 2 new tags added to the game. Furnace minecart fuel, if you want to customize what can be used as fuel in a furnace minecart. And villager picks up, if you want to customize what villagers can pick up. Well, my friends, it was certainly a smaller snapshot this week, and of course that brings us to the end of the coverage. So if you enjoyed it, leave a like. Thanks as always, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.